Hello, my fellow Americans. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. Sunday, October 14th, the year 2012. Many of you have watched my Rich Uncle videos where I posed the question, if you have a rich uncle and you go out for a meal, do you expect him to pay? And then we kind of branched off into food stamps, health care, and a few other things. And then I also made a video saying Ron Paul really needs to do the right thing and tell his supporters to vote for Romney because we got to get rid of Obama. We got to get him out of office. But as to be expected, it seems like we're butting heads. We're divided. We're not united. And I've been pondering this. I've been reading your comments, and once again, I thank you for them, appreciate them, because in maybe just a handful of cases, people got a little uncivilized, but for the most part, we're keeping this an adult, civilized discussion, sharing our views and opinions, because there's really no right and wrong. It's all how we see it. Kind of like that ends justifies the means. Because I was reading a little bit more in that Rules for Radicals book, and it said that whether the ends justify the means isn't the question. It's whether this particular end, is justified by these particular means. Or if this particular end justifies this particular means. I got to thinking about that, because I was pondering it. Then I realized, I was thinking, what if there were no governments? Would that solve the problem? Because chances are, here I'm in the western part of the United States, I'm not going to be fighting with people in China or the Mideast, and chances are neither would you. But, on the other hand, if we didn't have government, there'd probably be a band of people around here that got together and said, this is our area and this is the way we run things here. And if you didn't agree, probably you would be asked to leave or made to leave or possibly hung from a tree or used for crab bait. That just seems to be the nature of man. So we're almost back to square one. And I guess in videos from a few months ago, I basically said, my fellow Americans, we have to wise up, we have to unite, and simply realize that it's not rich versus poor, it's not the issue. Because one group is saying, well, you guys, you Republicans, you just want to have welfare for the rich, and you don't want to give anything to the poor people. And the people on the other side say, well, you poor people need to get a job, you need to work, you need to take care of yourselves, and this battle's going back and forth. But that's not what the issue is at all. The issue is freedom and liberty versus tyranny and slavery. Because, see, the system itself is not flawed. It's the people inside the system who are working the system as opposed to allowing the system to work. They're getting in there, they're twisting things around, they're disregarding the Constitution, they're just running amok, basically, because they realize they can get away with it, because who's to stop them except for we the people? And of course, nobody wants to talk about taking up arms like the Second Amendment gives us the right to against the government, because that's not the way things should be done. We should be able to solve this peacefully and vote like civilized human beings. Well, many people don't vote. They just refuse to participate. And other people are advocating, because we've got, evil Romney and evil Obama, that we shouldn't vote for the lesser of two evils. But see, I don't see it that way. I still think that we the people should just make it a policy that we re-elect no one until we're really happy with the government that we have elected. So that means to get rid of your Republican stripes, get rid of your Democratic stripes, get rid of your rich hatred, get rid of your poor hatred, and just focus on one thing and one thing alone. Just making sure nobody gets reelected until you get the government that you're really happy with. That being the case, chances are, I think it would take a real long time before anybody got reelected again. But so long as we let these people, these puppet masters, these politicians pull our strings and get us fighting amongst ourselves, they're going to keep pulling the strings. And you're right. Does it really matter if Romney wins versus Obama? Well, I say yes, because Obama is a communist and a socialist, and he's just going to, as far as I'm concerned, he's already pretty much driven this country, got two front wheels over the edge, and he's just ready to step on the gas and just take us completely over the edge. So that's the difference to me. I feel very strongly about it. Normally, I'd be voting Ron Paul. I mean, I voted for Perot. And as I stated before, in my entire life, I've never voted for a president who won. I've always voted for somebody who got defeated at the polls. And I was thinking maybe I should vote for Obama and hopefully I keep my record, because I don't want to see him win again. But the point is, the real point is that we have to focus, keep our eyes on freedom and liberty. That is the end goal for everybody. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe there's some people out there that don't think freedom and liberty is a good idea. And if so, please post a comment and tell us all why. But here in the good old US of A, liberty and freedom, that's what our soldiers supposedly are fighting for, to keep us the land of the free. But while we allow these politicians to keep us fighting amongst ourselves and squabbling over how taxes should be spent and things of that nature, we're never going to solve this issue, which is we have to vote these people out. I don't know how many years or decades or centuries it would take, but we need to eliminate them and keep eliminating them. People say, well, we should have term limits. No. We the people, we need to get up, off our you-know-whats, go to the polls, and just flatly say, I don't like the way the government is, and whoever is running for re-election, you vote for the candidate to unseat them. Whether or not you like them, whether or not they're a Democrat or Republican, none of that should matter. We need to elect people, say, who are going to give us our freedoms, our liberties. Obama, you've had your chance. You blew it. Hit the road, Jack. That should be the attitude of the country. Now, there's some people who are happy with Obama. More power to them. Let them vote. But I think the people in the middle, the people who might be confused, who are still pondering who they should vote for, or if they should vote at all, and talking about the lesser of two evils, once again, I just think, in my opinion, you're missing the boat. You're missing the big picture. Freedom and liberty. That's what we have to focus on. Now, in these issues, are you free if somebody else can take your money? You're not free then. You're a slave. You're worse than an indentured servant. I've already done a video on this. I know I'm repeating myself. But I don't think those who are out there disagreeing with me on the Ron Paul do the right thing and on the rich uncle, you're missing that point about freedom and liberty. Because under what circumstances do you think it's right to put a gun to your neighbor's head and tell them to pay for whatever it is you need? I don't care if it's a swimming pool, if it's a library, if it's health care. The answer is no. You don't have that right, at least not in this way of thinking. Now, Perhaps if I was brought up in a different country, different political system, I might think strongly the other way. I might have that feeling with as much conviction as I do now, but since I wasn't, so it's not a question of right or wrong. It's always going to be who's drawing the line and where they're going to place it. But I think most people would agree that if you put a gun to somebody's head and you make them give you money, you're robbing them. You are stealing from them. You're taking something that doesn't belong to you and it belongs to somebody else. And I don't think the courts would see that you're justified. Think about it. You've got an ill kid or a starving kid. You get a gun and you walk up to some stranger on the street and you rob them. And then they catch you. And you say, well, I did it because my kid's hungry. I don't think there's a jury that would find you innocent. They might sympathize with your plight, but they would probably say, that's wrong. We can't have a society where we condone those actions. And you'd go to jail. You'd do the time for doing the crime. But the problem is that when the government does it, it's legitimized. And most people have fallen for that. They've taken it hook, line, and sinker. They have been bamboozled into believing it's okay. Because if somebody says, I don't like the way this government's doing and I'm not going to pay my tax. Well, guess what? Your bank accounts will be seized. Your property will be seized. They will come and put a gun to your head and take you away. And people will go, oh, well, he didn't pay his taxes. And the same people who said that it wasn't right for that man to put a gun to his neighbor's head or the stranger's head to take money for a sick or ill or hungry kid. Do you see how they have us bamboozled now? Maybe you don't see the difference. Now I know you're going to say, well, we've got to have government. And I agree to a point. We need limited government. And the only way to fairly limit the government is to have one tax for each head. Doesn't matter how much you make, but you all pay basically the head tax. And it's real simple. Maybe it's $100 a person. That's what you pay. And that would definitely limit the size of the federal government. What do we have? 300 and some million people. This rounded up to 400 million. So the federal government would get about, what, $40 billion at that rate? I think that's more than enough. We get rid of a lot of those ABC, XYZ government agencies that are just a blight on this country. Serve no purpose, generate reports after reports, duplicates, and just a waste. We all know it exists, but the only way to do something about it is to vote these people out. Don't re-elect anybody till they finally get the message. Hey, if I keep going the way the people before me, then they're not going to re-elect me. So I better do something different, or it's 4 and I'm gone. That way there wouldn't be any career politicians. Because we complain about it, but if you go to the polls and you vote for somebody who's a career politician, you are continuing the rage. You are quote-unquote part of the problem. Do you understand? Have I made it clear? I'm not using big words. I'm trying to use examples that everybody can understand. If you don't agree with me, fine. Civilized debate is on. It's less than what? Less than a month till elections. And if I could just convince enough people to go out and spread the word, re-elect no one, from the feds, the state, your county, just re-elect no one. Let's just make that the new party, the re-elect no one party. And we just put that message out there, and maybe people will stop and think and go, hey, you know what? There might be something to that. Yeah, let's send all these guys packing. as opposed to, well, yeah, let's send everybody else's senator and congressman packing, but I like my senator and congressman. No! We got to get rid of that thought. We got to get rid of that line of thought. We just have to say, just look at the balance sheet. Look at the performance sheet. Look at their report card. Is it passing or failing? We know the country's failing. There's a video out there that says it's mathematical proof that we can't pay back our debt ever. Why are we re-electing these fools? They put us in that position. I mean, there's another website, the U.S. Debt Clock. Have you seen that one? It's just unbelievable. And we keep re-electing these fools, these idiots. Now, who's to blame? That's right, you. I usually don't vote to re-elect anybody. I want new blood. Maybe that should be the name of the party, the New Blood Party. Re-elect no one. Let me know what you think. Like I said, I've been taking the time to ponder this. Not some knee-jerk response, because I've taken what you've said into consideration. Some people make some really strong points. I understand. I am not a Romney fan. Let me just make that perfectly clear. But I am more anti-Obama. And it's whatever it takes. Let's get this message out. I realize voting for the lesser of two evils is evil. But I realize it's the choice between, do I want to die by fire or die by drowning? Or die by being eaten by a ferocious animal? They're all horrible deaths. I think out of the three, drowning's supposed to be more peaceful. So let's, but fire, that's a horrible death. Mauled by an animal and chewed, having flesh and bones ripped from your body while you're still conscious. You'd probably go into shock, but that's horrible. Choosing between those two? I know. Romney, awful choice. Obama, he's already shown his stripes. And it's just my humble opinion that we shouldn't have to endure another 4 more years of that. But my fellow Americans, the real issue is freedom and liberty versus tyranny and slavery. That's the real issue. Re-elect no one, my fellow Americans. Re-elect no one. Instead, please wake up and smell the tyranny.